Hello everyone, my name is Miranda, and as you can see from the title of this video, today I am here to review episode 1 of the BBC show Class. And you also probably realize this, but I'm a few episodes behind because I didn't actually realize Class already premiered on BBC America until I saw a review of it on some website, and I was like, wait, is this show out yet? So yeah, basically we're almost to the finale of this show, but I just started watching it and I really wanted to review each episode because I feel like each episode has so much going on in it that I'm going to try and catch up before at least the finale. Just know that, like, if I say something that is kind of contradicted by an episode that I haven't seen yet, obviously I don't know, so you'll just have to bear with me for that. But starting with episode 1, I have to say the weirdest thing about Class for me is just, like, I like it, but I don't know, like, I can't figure out the tone of it, and I think that's what's freaking me out the most. Like, when I first started watching this episode, I was like, oh, this is weird, because it's not like other shows I watch, like Riverdale, ones that, like, you kind of want to watch just with your friends. Like, you don't want to watch it with your family because they're super, like, over dramatic and, you know, like, just not ones you want to watch with your parents, maybe. But as this one started, I was like, oh, this kind of has, like, a cute feel to it. Like, I wouldn't mind watching this with the Rents and just, like, have a little family night. Well, then, it's before I know it, someone's getting their leg chopped off and someone's girlfriend is dead, and I was like, okay, so maybe not. Like, before that, I was like, oh, this is fun. It's kind of like a Power Rangers, or maybe if any of you know that Nick show that was on for a bit, The Troop, where they have to fight monsters. I was like, oh, this is cool. I can get with this jam. You know, it's kind of more lighthearted and fun. And then everything just went super dark, and that's why I remembered that this is why we're not allowed to have nice things. I do really like the show, though. I think it's interesting because it is a Doctor Who spinoff, and I don't actually watch Doctor Who. I do follow, like, tons of people on Tumblr who do. I think it's unavoidable, honestly, on Tumblr. So I know a lot about it. You know, like, I recognize the Clara shout out when her name was on the wall, and obviously the Doctor coming in was really cool. But at the same time, you know, it's interesting because I think spin-offs are interesting in themselves because, like, you're automatically, like, kind of alienating some people that, like, I guess refuse to watch it because it's based off Doctor Who. You know, Doctor Who, like, some people love it, some people, like, are like, I'm not watching that. So, like, obviously having a spin-off, people are gonna either be like, okay, I'll check it out, or like, I'm not watching that because I don't know anything about Doctor Who, so how will I know about this? But you literally, like, it's super easy to follow. I don't watch Doctor Who. I've seen, like, a couple episodes, and I've never seen one with Peter, the Doctor, right now, so, and I still managed to figure everything out. So I think it's interesting because it's definitely, I think, like, got the feel of Doctor Who. Like, it definitely reminded me. My hair just freaked me the F out. I thought it was a spider. Reminds me of, like, these just, like, crazy things. So episode 1 was about these shadow monsters, kin, that were coming through, and they were going after Charlie because he's the prince of this planet that kind of got just destroyed, and he has this thing that they want, and it's super complicated, and then all the other kids get wrapped up in it because the shadows are kind of attacking from the inside, and April is used and her heart is now connected to the Shadow King, and they still didn't figure that out for the end of the episode, so I'm sure that's going to come back to play in other episodes. But I think overall, like, this first episode was a good introduction. Like, obviously it was about, like, getting the team together and kind of getting them to meet. You know, I think it was like a typical, like, we're all gonna do this and be a monster hunting team now, you know, like, you gotta have that big event that gets them together. So I think that was really cool. And the funny thing was, I have to say, like, this just proves to you how out of it I was. Like, I don't know if I was tired when I first started watching it or whatever, but, like, I don't remember who the first person talked was. I think it was that kid that was like, oh, so many kids go missing. And, like, he had a British accent, and I was like, why do they have British accents? And I was like, oh, this is a British show, right, Miranda? Like, literally. And then I was just like, what is wrong with me? Like, it was just so weird that all of a sudden I was like, why do they have British accents? Like, I don't know what was happening, but I did really, really like it. And I do like the addition of Miss Quill. I think she's kind of a good foil to, like, usually when you have a group like this, like, again, like Power Rangers or even Harry Potter or something, you got, like, a group of, like, misfits that, you know, come together. You kind of have that person that is, like, their leader and their guider and, like, has all the wisdom, and Miss Quill just wants, like, no part of it. She's like, I hate you, I'm doing this because I'm forced to do this, and I hate you. And, like, she's not necessarily a good person. Like, I think deep down, like, maybe we'll start to see her care more for these kids, and she did at the end be like, they're just children, like, how can you expect them to fight and to do all this stuff. But she did kill that kid, so that was where it was interesting, where you were like, oh, like, is she really, like how bad is she, you know, because she did, Kevin, she made him use the gun, and she was gonna let April kill her, like, use the gun, so I think it's interesting to see how her development will come throughout the seasons. And then also just the core four, and then I guess Charlie's boyfriend too, or crush, whatever. I think they're all very interesting because they're kind of, they're different, you know, like, I thought for sure that Charlie and April were gonna be, like, the OTP that everyone was rooting for, and it was gonna be like, oh, she's so in love with him, but he's too oblivious to it, and I think they are still kind of written that way, that, like, if we didn't have Charlie say, I like this guy, like, I like guys, that I would still be, like, thinking, like, oh, they're totally gonna get together, because just, like, the way they frame their shots and the way their conversations work, it seems so, like, cliche, popular boy, like, mysterious guy falls in love with, like, girl that's, like, nerdy girl that's, like, after him. So I think that's, like, I give props to them for kind of flipping that on their head, but at the same time, like, I want different interactions between Charlie and April, because, like, just because we know they're not going to get together doesn't mean that their conversations still don't feel, like, cliched and just kind of repetitive. So I want them to have more of a, I guess, friendship instead of this weird flirtation thing that I know it's not a flirtation, but just, like, think about, like, if we didn't, like, in any other show, the way they're talking and the way, like, it's set up would be a flirtation. You know what I mean? Like that, like how he was so, like, oh, we're not letting the Shadow King kill her, like, I'm not gonna do that, I'm not gonna do that, like, that just, I feel like in any other show would be so much evidence that, like, oh, he likes her and he could potentially, like, something could happen. So I feel like it just needs to be more obvious that it's, like, a really close friendship. But overall, I really did enjoy this episode. I'm really interested in learning more about the school, because I think it's interesting that, like, all this terrible crap happens and no one seems to remember it or actually want, like if I went to the school, I would be like, Mom, Dad, you need to transfer me because I'm not sticking around. Like, everyone's just like, oh, we have a higher than average, you know, students go missing, it's just what it is. And I would be like, no, I'm not, Mom, Dad, no, I'm not doing this. So it's interesting to see it happen now and how that's going to affect the rest of the students, I guess, because I think it's interesting that they're kind of like there was no given reason. It's not like Percy Jackson where there's a mist or something like muggles can't see, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, this stuff is literally happening, and then the kids are just like, meh. So, I mean, I know high school kids see some weird stuff, but, like, this is far more superior than the average weird stuff, you know? So, I'll be interested to see how that is, and I'm interested to see how the core four works more, because I feel like they've kind of been thrown together, but at the same time it doesn't necessarily always work when you're thrown together. Like, you really have to come to depend on them and trust who you're working with. So I think that'll be really interesting to see. And I'm just super excited to see where this goes. So if you have watched Class, please feel free to leave your thoughts about it down below. No spoilers though, because I've just started it, so I don't want to be ruined for anything that happens. But, and I know, like, I could look up everything that happens because the whole series has aired in England already. So yeah, just leave your thoughts about it if you enjoy watching it and what you're hoping. And if you're hoping there will be a second season. And be sure to check out, I'm going to do more videos for every episode, hopefully. So episode 2 should be out later today, if I do this right, and then episode 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 will all come out accordingly. So let's see, I'm going to try and get them all done before the season finale so that I'm all caught up, but we shall see. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and look out for more episode reviews, like I said, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!